Unleash your inner strength. How faith can make you unstoppable. Hidden strength, waiting to be activated. Picture this. Deep within every one of us lies a reservoir of strength, a divine power source that's just waiting to be set free. It's the kind of strength that can take down giants, break through walls, and overcome challenges that seem insurmountable. The truth is, if you're walking in faith, you're already unstoppable. You just have to unleash what God has already put inside you. That strength isn't something you're scrambling to earn. It's already yours, given by the Almighty Himself. Faith is the key to unlocking it. In a world that loves to tell us what we can't do, what we're not made for, what we're not equipped to handle, faith says otherwise. Faith says, if God is for you, who can be against you? Romans 8:30. So, get ready to break through the barriers that hold you back, because today, you're stepping into the strength God has planted within you. Knowing the power that's already yours, let's set the scene with David and Goliath, a story we all know, but one that never gets old. David wasn't a warrior, at least not by the world's standards. He was young, a shepherd, untested in the heat of battle. But he knew one thing with unshakable certainty. God was with him. When he saw that giant in the valley, he didn't hesitate. He didn't let the fear of being outmatched stop him. David's faith was his armor, his strength, his confidence. The power David had wasn't in the sling or the stone. It was in the certainty of God's presence. He knew that no weapon formed against him could prosper because God was on his side. This wasn't just a story of strength. It was a story of faith meeting purpose. David's faith made him unstoppable. And that's the kind of power you have inside you too. You might feel outmatched right now. Maybe it's a job that's pushing you to the edge, a relationship that's breaking you down, or a battle with your own fears and doubts. But if God could empower a young shepherd to take down a giant, imagine what he can do with you. The world sees limits, but God sees potential. The same God who walked with David is walking with you too, and he's put that same power within you, breaking through the chains of self-doubt. We all face those voices that whisper, "You're not enough." We live in a world that's constantly telling us to fit in, to keep our heads down, and to play it safe. But faith doesn't play it safe. Faith doesn't settle. Faith steps out even when the path seems impossible. Take Gideon, for example. He felt small, weak, and unworthy, but God saw him as a mighty warrior, Judges 6:12. Imagine that! God called him a warrior when he saw himself as nothing. And when Gideon chose to believe that, he was able to lead an army of only 300 men to victory over thousands. That wasn't strength in numbers, that was strength in faith. Today God is calling you to do the same, to look beyond the doubts, beyond the world's opinions, and into His promise. You don't need to wait for approval, resources, or the perfect conditions. You're already equipped with the power of God. The only thing stopping you is believing the lie that you're too small, too weak, or not enough. Faith says, I am who God says I am, and that's where unstoppable strength begins. Faith transforms fear into fuel. Fear can be paralyzing. It tells you to back down, to play it safe, to give up. But with faith, fear can become fuel. Instead of stopping you, fear can be the very thing that drives you to step up and show what you're made of. Think about Esther, the queen who risked her life to save her people. She could have stayed quiet, safe within the palace walls, letting fear keep her silent. But her faith propelled her forward. She declared, "If I perish, I perish," Esther 4:16, and walked boldly into her calling. Esther's faith didn't just save her, it saved a nation. God didn't put you here to play it safe. He didn't call you to live in fear. He called you to rise up, to stand strong, and to live boldly. When fear tries to keep you in place, let faith push you forward. God isn't looking for those who are fearless. He's looking for those who are willing to trust Him enough to step out despite their fears. Your faith can turn fear into fire, a fire that will ignite the path before you. Discovering your giant slayer moment. Every one of us will face giants. These giants come in the form of struggles, doubts, and impossible odds. But let me tell you this, Your giants are just waiting to be defeated. They may be intimidating, but they are no match for the power of God in you. The key to unlocking this giant-slaying strength is believing that God has already equipped you. Just as David's hand reached for that stone, your hands have been equipped with the tools you need to overcome whatever stands in your way. It might be courage, a talent you've been neglecting, or a faith that's been gathering dust. It's time to step up, reach for that strength, and start slinging stones at those giants. Don't let anyone tell you that you're not a giant slayer. Don't let the world convince you that your giants are too big, too strong, or too immovable. With faith, you don't just face giants, you defeat them. And that's not just a story for the history books. It's a promise for you today. Living unstoppable every single day. Faith isn't just for those big, dramatic moments. It's for every single day. When you walk in faith, you become unstoppable, not just in the battle, but in everyday life. Faith gives you the power to stay grounded in a world that's constantly shifting. It gives you the strength to hold on when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Jesus said, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you." Matthew 17:20. That's not about having perfect faith, but a faith that refuses to give up. It's the faith to keep showing up, to keep believing, to keep trusting in the goodness of God, even when things look impossible. Walking in faith means walking with the confidence that God's got your back. It means knowing that no weapon formed against you will prosper. No mountain is too high, and no valley is too deep. Because with God, you are unstoppable. Step into the strength God has given you. It's time to live like the unstoppable, faith-filled warrior that you are. To stop listening to the world's limitations and start embracing the truth of God's promises. The Bible is filled with stories of ordinary people who became extraordinary through faith. People who took their fear, their doubts, their weakness, and put it all in God's hands. And in return, God did the impossible through them. You have that same power. The same God who stood with David, who spoke to Gideon, who called Esther, is calling you right now. He's placed within you a strength that no giant can withstand, no barrier can block, and no fear can quench. So get ready to break through. Step out with the confidence of a child of God. Unleash the inner strength that's already yours. You're not just here to survive. You're here to thrive, to conquer, and to live as a testament of God's unstoppable power. God's waiting for you to tap into the power that's already inside you. The world might say it's impossible, but with God, you're already prepared, already powerful, and already unstoppable. Go out there and show the world what faith can do.